As you guys know, we're house hunting, so we're headed to a house to look at right now. We just got the pre-approval done, and very nice, very nice. Let's just move on to the Sunday story. You guys say you like the stories about the craziness that I've seen in my life working in the automotive industry so far. Well, I got another one for you. Yesterday's was pretty good with the whole guy renting a car, canceling the credit card, being a fake credit card and all this other stuff, and then putting his rims and sound system on, and then a month later showing back up. So if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to post that video down in the comment section so you guys can see it. He shows up a month later demanding and screaming for his stuff, and sure enough, management cowered, gave the guy all his stuff back, and didn't have to pay for the month rental fee, or didn't have to replace any of the rims and tires that came off of the vehicle or the factory radio. Now, to get into today's story, working at Hertz, depending on the location, you have the little sublet places that are throughout your community and stuff like that. They just have some cars there. You can kind of go in, you can rent some cars, and that's it. But when you work at the big facilities outside the like airport locations and stuff like that, they typically have two facilities or one large facility. You'll have the buses and stuff that grab the people from the terminals at the airport and take them to the facilities where they rent the vehicles. And then down the road, somewhere in pretty close location, you'll have a repair facility that they use to repair the vehicles, store extra vehicles and stuff like that, and actually work on the buses and stuff as well. Well, our facility was down the road from the actual airport, and there were cars missing. Cars were just randomly coming up missing, and nobody knew what was going on. And what it was one of the employees was helping himself to a random vehicle. He would literally get in running vehicles that was on the lot waiting to be washed and detailed and sent off to the next section to fuel and stuff like that. And he would take these vehicles and he would drive them for weeks at a time, and then just randomly show back up. And even though we had cameras all over the place, a lot of times the cameras didn't work. So this employee would help himself to Hertz brand new vehicles and just disappear for weeks on end. Park the vehicle outside the location, stuff. Nobody could figure out what was going on. This was going on for months. Well, that turned into, this gentleman started basically coaching an outside source on how to come onto the facility, get a vehicle of his choice, which was typically some kind of Chrysler product or something that would sell where they could take to a chop shop or something like that and chop the vehicle down and sell for a profit. And it was like one of his family members he was helping on to the lot would help them get in a vehicle and then help them get off of the facility, and they would just disappear with this vehicle. And this literally went on for months. Well, shortly after that, we don't know if it has anything to do with it, there was a slew of vehicles that started coming up missing. So old boy ended up getting found out that he was doing this stuff. They fired him from Hertz, and he ended up going to jail or something like that, and they were working on prosecution. And then whoever was involved with stealing these vehicles off of the lot, they were looking for them or something to that extent. Well, in the meantime, this young crew of 16, 17, 18-year-old hoodmen, let's just put it that way, would steal about 7 to 10 cars at a time. And when you're looking at the rental car facility location and how it's laid out and how massive some of the lots are around the airport areas, there's a lot of stuff going on. So you could be easily distracted. And a lot of the vehicles are left running as they move from station to station to station. And a lot of times, even when the vehicles are done and they're ready to be put out on the lot in their, numbered location for people to go out to the lot, pick their car and drive off, they're still left running. You get a bunch of young kids or people that don't have any kind of education or anything going on, and they're underpaid as it is. They just kind of like, it's a job. The utmost care for the vehicles is really not there. So they just sit there and idle and idle and idle and idle. And that's why I try to tell people all the time, one of the biggest mistakes that you can do is buy a previous rental car, because those vehicles sit on that lot and they idle from the time they get there until the time they leave with the next person. Very little downtime with the amount of rollover with how these vehicles are rented. Idle hours are just absolutely crazy, and a lot of it has to do with the employees idling the vehicles on the facility lot before they're actually parked for rental. So we start looking at the cameras and stuff when these cars come up missing, and these guys are able to get like 7 to 10 cars at a time, and they'll just crash the vehicle right through the security gates. They will at the bigger airport location, they were taking rubber mats out of the big buses, and the lead guy would hurry up and jump out of the vehicle and lay the spike strips, lay the rubber mats across the spike strips, and then all of the other vehicles after him would try to hurry up and run out of the gate and use those rubber mats as a cushion for the spike strips. Even if it punctured the tire, they could get far enough away to where they could get somewhere to at least put a patch or something in the tire temporarily to get the vehicle to where they needed it to be. And it was typically Chrysler products. It was Chrysler products, for some reason, is a hot rental car to be stole. And then one time they got so ballsy when they were doing this, stealing these cars, this same group of guys, that they actually jumped in one of the buses, one of the big giant 40-foot long CTA buses, and they tried to crash the bus through the concrete pillar that holds the crossing arm and stuff down, and it didn't work. It busted up the back of the bus. And then they took a car and they pinned it into the security car out of nowhere. They get like a Dodge Caravan or something like that, and they smash the side of the security vehicle, pin the security person in there, run a vehicle into the other side so the security person couldn't get out by the gate, and then take all the extra cars and run them through the fence and just get out of there. Yeah, it was pretty hectic. It was pretty crazy. But they did eventually catch those guys. What ended up happening is at the repair facility down the road from the airport, they had a team of officers that were in plain car, or like unmarked cars in plain clothes, that were sitting down one of the side streets, and they were all waiting for it to happen this night. They had like officers that were trying to catch these guys. So they have these officers sitting down the side street right by the repair facility where I worked, and it's a union job. You know, you go home when everybody else goes home. You're not staying late because the facility closes down, so we couldn't be there when it happened. But these young punk kids jump over the fence. We watched the camera the next day. That's how we know what happened. They jump over the fence, get across the barbed wire or the spike fence top, and they run out there and they grab all these cars. Well, little did they know, the team of police officers that was sitting right down the street in unmarked cars in plain clothes that were just waiting for this to happen was watching it go on. And what they did was, pants falling down to their damn knees and stuff. It's like the most comical thing ever. They're running across the lot waddling like penguins, and they can't even barely run. And then one guy goes to get another car and he falls down. The other guy's trying to run and jump in the car, but he can't get his leg up high enough because his pants falling down so much that he couldn't even move his damn legs. And you could see these young, unfortunately it was like 7 or 8 young black men that were doing all this. And I'm not saying other people can't be criminals, but this is just the facts of what it was. There's like 7 or 8 young black men. You could see their skin and stuff, but you couldn't see their face. You could see their clothes and stuff and the type of pants and stuff they wore, but you could not actually recognize who they were, so you had to have a team set up to catch them. And luckily these officers were set up to where as soon as they started running these vehicles through, the lead vehicle would bust through the gate, and all the vehicles behind him would be the ones that they would take. And the last cars that would clear the fence would stop. The guy that ran the first vehicle through the fence and did some damage would jump in the other car and leave that car there, and they would take off and go. The police ended up catching them. They ended up losing, like, I want to say close to 40 cars. 40 or 50 cars within like a 3-month period of these guys doing this stuff, and they still don't even know if it had anything to do with that original employee that was just leisurely taking cars whenever he wanted, and then starting to help his family member onto the lot to figure out how they were going to get cars off of there. They don't know if the two are connected. They never got that far, but everybody was caught. And these are some of the types of things that happen at these rental car facilities. I got some more for you. That's not even the closest to the wildest that I've had to deal with working at a rental car facility. But anyway, just wanted to share it with you guys. Be blessed.